The dust slowly settled over the battlefield as the echoes of gunfire faded into silence. Zarok, the alien soldier, blinked against the bright sunlight, his senses returning to him. He lay on the ground, feeling the rough texture of the dirt and the warm breeze on his skin. The battle had been fierce, and for a moment he struggled to remember what had happened. The last thing he recalled was being surrounded by enemy forces ready to fall. But then came the humans, charging in like a storm. Zarok tried to push himself up but winced in pain. He glanced around and saw the chaos left behind, destroyed enemy ships, fallen comrades, and the brave humans who had fought alongside him. They had come to his aid when he had least expected it. The thought brought a mixture of confusion and gratitude flooding through him. Why had they risked their lives for him? "Zarok! Are you all right?" a voice called out. It was Captain Maria, the leader of the human rescue team. She rushed over, her face filled with concern. Zarok had never seen a human so close before. She had bright eyes and a fierce spirit, and for the first time he felt a flicker of hope. I think so," Zarok replied, his voice shaky. Maria knelt beside him and gently checked his wounds. He felt her warm touch, and it surprised him. He had always thought of humans as cold and distant, but here she was, caring for him. "You fought bravely, Zarok," she said, her voice steady. "We wouldn't have made it without you and your team." Zarok felt a swell of pride. He had fought hard, but he also remembered how his people had looked down on humans. "Why did you come for us?" he asked. "Why risk your lives for aliens?" Maria paused, looking into his eyes. "Because we know what it's like to fight for survival. We understand the value of teamwork no matter where you come from." Zarok thought about her words. He had seen humans in battle, and they fought with an intensity he had never expected. They were not the weaklings his people had claimed. They were strong, brave, and willing to help those in need. As the reality of their victory began to sink in, Zarok looked around at the battlefield. It was a mix of destruction and hope. His team was gathering their wounded, and humans were helping them. For the first time, Zarok saw a true alliance forming. Maybe they could work together after all. With Maria's help, Zarok stood up, still a bit unsteady on his feet. The pain in his body was sharp, but he felt a new energy coursing through him. "We need to regroup," he said, feeling a sense of responsibility to his comrades. "Right," Maria agreed. "Let's gather everyone and discuss our next steps. We can't let this victory go to waste." As they walked through the battlefield, Zarok noticed the expressions on the faces of his fellow soldiers. They were tired but alive. Some looked at the humans with suspicion, while others were grateful. Zarok knew he had to bridge that gap. He had to show them that humans could be trusted. "Listen up, everyone!" Zarok called, raising his voice above the noise. "We fought together today. The humans saved our lives. We are not alone anymore." A few of his comrades nodded, but some remained skeptical. Zarok felt the weight of their gazes. "Together, we can make a strong team. Let's show the enemy what we can do when we stand united." The murmurs among his soldiers began to shift. Captain Maria stepped forward. "Zarok is right. We are stronger together. Let's focus on what we can achieve as allies." The soldiers began to talk among themselves, and Zarok felt a sense of relief. Maybe this was the beginning of a new era. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the battlefield, Zarok looked at Maria and felt a newfound respect for her. He was ready to fight alongside the humans, not just as allies but as friends. In that moment, Zarok realized that the battle's end was just the beginning of something greater. Together they would face whatever came next, stronger than before. After the battle, Zarok felt a mix of pain and hope as he leaned against a rock to rest. The chaos of the day still buzzed in his mind. He looked around at the makeshift camp where soldiers from both sides were tending to the wounded. It was a strange sight, humans and aliens working together, but it filled Zarok with a sense of unity he had never experienced before. As he scanned the area, he spotted Captain Maria again. She was busy giving orders, her voice strong and clear. He admired her energy and determination. She moved with purpose, checking on her team and making sure everyone was okay. Zarok felt a pull to speak with her, but he hesitated. What would he say? How could he explain the confusion in his mind? Finally, he decided he needed to thank her. Taking a deep breath, he pushed off the rock and made his way toward her. As he approached, Maria turned and smiled, her bright eyes sparkling with kindness. "Zarok! How are you feeling?" she asked, concern etched on her face. I am better, thanks to you, Zarok replied, his voice steady. I wanted to thank you for saving my life and my team. Maria waved her hand as if to brush aside his gratitude. We're in this together. You did your part, too. You fought bravely out there. Zarok felt warmth spread in his chest. It was rare for someone to recognize his efforts. I did what I had to do, but I was not alone. You and your team came at the right time. Maria nodded, her expression serious. We all need to support each other now. The enemy will not give up easily. We must prepare for what comes next. Zarok looked into her eyes and saw determination. What do you suggest? He asked, eager to hear her thoughts. First, we need to gather intelligence on the enemy. We should find out their plans and numbers. Then we can devise a strategy together, Maria explained. But we must be careful. They will likely be on high alert after losing the battle. Zarok felt a surge of excitement. This was different from the way his people usually approached warfare. There was a sense of collaboration that felt refreshing. I will help, he said firmly. I can talk to my team and get them ready for your plan. Great, Maria said, a smile breaking across her face. But first, let's make sure everyone is in good shape. We need all the strength we can get. As they walked together through the camp, Zarok noticed how Maria interacted with her team. She encouraged them, listened to their concerns, and made them laugh. It was a stark contrast to how he had seen leaders act among his people. Zarok realized that this was the kind of leadership he admired, one that built trust and unity. They stopped at a small medical tent where injured soldiers were receiving care. Zarok watched as Maria spoke gently to a wounded human, reassuring him that he would be fine. She treated everyone with respect, and it made Zarok reflect on his own people's behavior. Captain, he began cautiously, do you think your people trust us? Some of my comrades are still unsure about working with humans. Maria sighed, understanding the challenge they faced. It takes time to build trust, Zarok. We need to show them that we are committed to this alliance. Actions speak louder than words. Zarok nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. I will do my best to convince them. We have to stand united if we want to win this fight. Exactly, Maria agreed. Let's set up a meeting tonight. We can bring both our teams together and discuss our next steps. It's important for everyone to understand what we're fighting for. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the camp, Zarok felt a surge of hope. They were building something new, something that could change the fate of both their worlds. With Maria by his side, he believed they could overcome the challenges ahead. Thank you, Captain Maria, Zarok said, his voice filled with sincerity. I never thought I would feel this way about humans. You have changed my perspective. Maria smiled, a spark of camaraderie igniting between them. And you've changed mine, Zarok? Let's keep moving forward, together. As they prepared for the meeting, Zarok felt a sense of determination. He was ready to fight alongside Maria and her team, not just as allies, but as friends. Together, they would forge a new path, proving that unity was the key to victory. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Zarok stood outside the makeshift meeting tent, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Tonight was important. They would bring together their teams to build trust and work toward a common goal. He glanced inside where Captain Maria was already setting up the space. Are you ready, Zarok? Maria called, sensing his hesitation. Zarok took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, I am ready. We need to make them understand. Inside the tent, soldiers from both sides were gathered. The atmosphere was tense, filled with uncertainty. Zarok could see some of his comrades eyeing the humans warily. He stepped forward, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Everyone, please listen, Zarok began, his voice steady but firm. We fought together today and survived because of each other. Now we must unite and build trust. Some of his team murmured, exchanging doubtful glances. Zarok pushed on, determined to convince them. I know many of you are unsure about the humans, but they saved our lives. Captain Maria and her team are our allies now. We need to support each other. Maria stepped forward, her presence commanding. Zarok is right. We are stronger together. Trust doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with small steps. Zarok watched as Maria moved closer to his comrades, her eyes scanning their faces. Let me share something. In my past battles, I faced many challenges alone. But with teamwork, I learned we can achieve far more than we ever could on our own. One of Zarok's comrades, Korin, crossed his arms and frowned. But how do we know they won't turn against us? They are humans. They have their own goals. Zarok felt the tension rising. I once believed that too, he admitted. But today, I saw their bravery and their willingness to help. They risked their lives for us. Maria nodded, stepping in to support Zarok. Trust starts with communication. We want to hear your concerns and understand your perspective. We are all fighting the same enemy. A few soldiers whispered among themselves. Zarok could see their doubts, but he also sensed a shift in the room. He needed to keep the momentum going. Let's share our experiences. We all have stories of struggle. Sharing them can help us connect. Corin, still skeptical, spoke up again. Fine, I'll go first. When I was captured last month, I thought I would never escape. But then I met a human who helped me, showed me that not all humans are our enemies. Zarok felt a sense of relief. Corin's story was a step toward understanding. Thank you, Corin. That's the spirit we need, he encouraged. One by one, soldiers began to share their stories, both human and alien. A human soldier named Jake talked about his fear during the first battle he fought and how he had learned to trust his team. An alien named Tala shared a tale of how her team had once fought alone, only to learn that cooperation was the key to victory. As the stories flowed, the atmosphere in the tent shifted from doubt to openness. Laughter erupted occasionally, breaking the tension. Zarok could see smiles appearing on faces that had once held suspicion. After the stories, Maria brought everyone back to focus. Now that we've shared, let's discuss our next steps against the enemy. Together we can create a plan that uses our strengths. Zarok felt a rush of excitement. This was what he had hoped for, a real alliance built on trust and respect. Let's combine our skills. The humans have great technology, and we have experience in the field. We can use both to outsmart the enemy. The soldiers nodded in agreement, and Zarok could see the spark of determination igniting in their eyes. Maria started outlining a strategy, pointing to a map spread across a table. We need to gather more information about the enemy's movements. Zarok, your team knows their territory well. Can you help us scout? Yes! We can send a small group to observe, Zarok replied eagerly. As the discussions continued, Zarok felt a sense of belonging. For the first time, he saw both humans and aliens working together, united in their fight for survival. The worries and doubts began to fade away as they focused on their mission. As the meeting wrapped up, Zarok looked around the tent, feeling proud. They had taken a significant step toward building trust. Tonight, they weren't just allies, they were becoming a family, bound by a common goal. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, stronger and more determined than ever. The morning sun rose, casting a golden glow over the camp. Zarok felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he prepared for their first joint mission with the humans. Today, they would scout the enemy's territory together, a crucial step in building their alliance. He tightened his armor and checked his gear, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Maria approached him, her expression serious but encouraging. Are you ready, Zarok? This is a big step for both our teams. Yes, Captain Maria, Zarok replied, his voice steady. I believe this mission will help us gain valuable information about the enemy. As they gathered for the briefing, Zarok could see both teams mingling. Humans and aliens were sharing stories and laughter, the tension from their previous encounters slowly fading away. It was a promising sign. Zarok hoped that their unity would grow stronger with each mission they undertook together. Maria stood at the front, a map spread out before her. Listen up, everyone. Today, we will split into two groups. One team will head north toward the enemy camp, while the other will create a diversion to distract them. Our goal is to gather information about their numbers and plans. Zarok stepped forward, pointing at the map. I suggest we take the narrow path through the forest. It will keep us hidden and allow us to get close to the enemy without being seen. Maria nodded, impressed by his insight. Good idea, Zarok. Let's have you lead the scouting team. Zarok felt a rush of pride. He turned to his comrades and saw their eager faces. Let's show them what we can do. As they set off, Zarok led the way through the dense forest, moving silently among the trees. He was aware of the weight of his responsibility, but felt confident. This was the first real test of their alliance. He glanced back at the humans following him, noting how they adapted to the alien terrain. After a short walk, they reached a vantage point overlooking the enemy camp. Zarok motioned for everyone to stop. We need to stay low and observe, he whispered. The group settled into position, their eyes focused on the camp below. Zarok felt a mix of tension and anticipation as he scanned the area. He spotted several alien soldiers moving around, preparing for the next battle. Maria, crouched beside him, whispered, "Do you see anything unusual?" "Yes," Zarok replied, pointing. "They have increased their numbers. We need to be careful. If they spot us, it could endanger both our teams." As they observed, they noticed a large structure in the center of the camp. Zarok squinted, trying to make out what it was. "That looks like their command center. If we can gather information from there, it would be a huge advantage." Maria nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "We should plan to get closer, but we need to create a diversion first. If they focus on the noise, we can slip in and gather what we need." Just then, a loud crash echoed through the forest. A couple of humans had knocked over a branch while trying to adjust their positions. Zarok's heart raced. The enemy below turned their heads, alert to the sound. "Quickly! We need to move!" Zarok shouted, signaling the team to retreat. They hurried back, using the trees for cover as the enemy soldiers began to search the area. Once they reached a safe distance, Zarok turned to Maria. "We need to rethink our approach. If we get spotted, we won't have another chance." Maria nodded, her expression serious. "Let's regroup and come up with a new plan. We need to make sure we stay undetected." They returned to a clearing where the two groups came together. The humans and aliens discussed their next steps, each contributing ideas and suggestions. Zarok was amazed by the teamwork unfolding before him. After much debate, they decided on a new strategy. One group would create a loud distraction while the others sneaked into the enemy camp under the cover of noise. It was risky, but they all agreed it was their best chance. As the team split up again, Zarok felt a surge of adrenaline. They were working together, united in their goal. He led the scouting team, heart pounding with excitement as they crept toward the enemy camp once more. Finally, they reached the outskirts, hidden in the shadows. Zarok felt a sense of purpose. They were more than just allies, they were a united front. As the diversion began, explosions and noise ringing out, Zarok signaled his team to move. They dashed toward the command center, adrenaline coursing through their veins. This was their moment. Together they would gather the information they needed, proving that trust and cooperation could lead to victory. Zarok glanced at Maria, who gave him an encouraging nod. He felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Together, they would change the tide of the battle. The sun rose slowly over the horizon, casting warm light on the battlefield. Zarok stood outside the tent, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. The mission had been a success. They had gathered vital information about the enemy's plans, and he could sense that the bond between the humans and his team was growing stronger. Inside the tent, Captain Maria was reviewing the data they had collected. Her face lit up as she saw the maps Zarok and his team had brought back. "This is incredible. We now know their troop movements and where they plan to attack next," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. Zarok felt pride swell within him. "It was a team effort, Maria. Everyone worked hard and we all took risks together." Maria nodded, her expression serious. "But we must use this information wisely. We have to plan our next move carefully." As they discussed strategies, more soldiers gathered in the tent, eager to hear the news. The atmosphere was filled with energy and hope. Zarok noticed how both humans and aliens were engaged, sharing ideas and working together. It was a sight he had never imagined possible just weeks before. "Let's focus on a counterattack," one of the human soldiers suggested. "If we can hit them hard, we can change the tide of this war." Zarok agreed. "We should strike at their command center. If we take out their leaders, we can disrupt their operations significantly." The soldiers nodded, their determination growing. Maria stood up, raising her hand to quiet the room. "We need to prepare everyone for what's to come. This is not just about fighting. It's about uniting our strengths." Zarok felt a surge of hope. He could see the trust that had formed between their teams. Together, they had achieved something extraordinary. "We have to train together. Understanding each other's abilities will make us stronger," he said. Maria smiled, clearly impressed. "Great idea. Let's start joint training sessions. We'll mix both teams and learn from each other." As the meeting wrapped up, Zarok felt a sense of excitement for the days ahead. They had come so far in such a short time, and he believed they could achieve even more together. Later that afternoon, Zarok and Maria led a training session. Soldiers from both sides paired up to practice combat techniques and strategies. Zarok found himself working closely with Jake, the human who had shared his story during their first meeting. "Let's see what you've got," Jake said with a grin, ready for a friendly sparring match. Zarok nodded, feeling confident. They began to practice, exchanging blows and testing each other's skills. Zarock was impressed by Jake's agility and quick thinking. They laughed and encouraged one another, building a camaraderie that felt genuine. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the training session ended. The soldiers were tired but filled with a sense of achievement. They had bonded over their struggles and victories. That evening, they gathered around a fire, sharing food and stories. Zarock felt the warmth of friendship growing among them. He looked around at the faces, both humans and aliens, each one filled with hope for the future. "Tomorrow we will fight together," Zarock said, raising his cup in a toast. "To our new alliance and the strength we have found in each other." The soldiers cheered, raising their cups in agreement. "To our new alliance," they echoed. As the fire crackled, Zarock thought about what lay ahead. They were not just fighting a war, they were building a future together. He felt a sense of hope that had been absent before. They would face whatever challenges awaited them, united as one. As night fell, Zarock lay in his sleeping bag staring at the stars above. He thought about his journey and the friendships he had forged. There was a sense of peace in knowing they were no longer alone. He closed his eyes, dreaming of the battles they would face and the victories they would achieve together. The next day, they would stand side by side, ready to fight for their shared future. Together, they had built something special, an alliance that could withstand anything. Zarock's heart swelled with hope, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges but also new opportunities. In the darkness, the stars shone bright, guiding them toward a better tomorrow. The hope for peace and unity had been ignited, and together they would fight to keep that flame alive.